everybody, it's Stephanie from SDC Wreaths for You, and I am coming to you today with a request from a client who wanted something similar to the wreath you see in the upper left-hand corner, but they needed something that would fit in their storm door. So I am starting out with this wooden tray that I picked up at Hobby Lobby. It's 14 inches, and I'm going to start out by painting that the pretty blue color of the flowers that are going to be the focal floral in this design. So I'm just going to paint this this tray blue on the inside, and then around the edges I'm going to do with the chalk paste just a white just on top. So get that all on there. And I'm using a foam brush. You can pick those up anywhere, any crafting store, Walmart, Hobby Lobby, Michael's. Of course, you can order on Amazon. So I'm touching that up around the frame. And then I am going to create the verbiage for the sign. So we're doing thankful, grateful, and blessed. And I'm using my Cricut Maker 4 to get this done. And I'll tell you guys, I really love my Cricut Maker 4. I've been using it like crazy since I got it. So I might be a little late to the game with Cricut, but I am here and in full effect, loving it. So once I get all of that cut on the machine, I'm going to come over and I'm going to remember to put my transfer paper. Actually, I'm using contact paper from Walmart. It's just as easy to use and less expensive than transfer paper. So I'm getting that centered on my design, and I'm going to take that backing off so that I can lay it out and see where I want everything to go. So once I get that on there, I use my little Cricut tool to make sure everything is adhering to the surface, pulling the contact paper off, and then the fun part of weeding the design out. So depending on how complex the design is, weeding can be relaxing or it could be stressful. So when you've got a lot of intricate details, it kind of can get to you, but stuff like this is easy and it's actually satisfying. So the next thing I'm going to do is use these Chanel stems. You can get these anywhere. I'm using like a blue color or shade of blue. It's definitely blue. This is an 18-inch wire frame. I think I got it from the Dollar Tree. And I am going to secure these Chanel stems on here in a pattern that will allow me to make a pancake wreath. So you'll see me do the bottom layer is going to be on the cross wire frame, and then the top layer is going to be centered. And I'll do that all the way around. So you'll see me start that process here. Just want to make sure you're going through where you have it on at least 2 of the wires, and taking it over to the cross wire at the bottom, twisting that a few times. And then you'll do the same thing in the center with the top and the middle wire of the frame, and twist those a few times and repeat. So we'll speed that up so it's not so brutal to watch, but it does save you some money if you do it this way. You can also buy work wreath frames that already have the stems on, the Chanel stems, or what have you, but they don't usually have those for pancake wreath. So I've got all those on. There's 16 of them. The next thing I need to do is cut my mesh. So you can see I'm using that really pretty purple with the blue border. So it's got that whole pretty illusions look. I do love that mesh. And then I'm using white mesh with snow drifts across the running around the actual mesh. So I'm gonna take that off, paper off and everything. Then I'll get ready to cut these. I do tend to, when I have multiple rolls of mesh to cut, I do tend to use a mesh roller. And I actually got, it's like a ribbon roller actually I got from Joann's one day. And I just use it as a mesh roller because it's long enough for my 10-inch mesh to go on. I can put like, I think 5 different ones on there at once. But I've got these two stacked together. I'm gonna cut off the rough edges. So I will do that before I begin cutting for actual usage in the pancake wreath. So I cut these at 30 inches, both of them together. So you can see I have the white under there. And I'll cut those at 30 inches each. And I will need to do that 8 times. So that'll give me 16 cuts. And I will use those I'll stagger those every other one. So that is what I'm doing here, and I will speed this up for you so that it's not so brutal to watch, since it's quite repetitive, but you do want to make sure you get your mesh cut well. I think that was my first roll I cut, so I'll speed it up. All right, now I'm getting my ribbon out. I'm going to use a blue glitter ribbon, which is the same as the ribbon I used in the previous one. And then those flowers are the same as well, but I am using a different purple, and I'm going to use a third color of ribbon as well. So I've got this tool that I use to measure my ribbon so that I can cut multiples at once instead of, having to just do one at a time. I'm cutting all of this ribbon at 13 inches. I actually ran out of that blue, but I had some more. So word of caution, always make sure you've got enough of each type of ribbon, each color, before you get started. I knew I had a second roll of that glitter blue, so I wasn't worried about it, but keep that in mind when you're crafting. I almost always buy 2 rolls of any one pattern of ribbon. So this purple ribbon I'm going to do the same with, and then I'm going to cut it at 13 inches as well. And I'll need 16 of those. So I will get that wrapped around and started, and I'll speed it up for you as well. And I have this white velvet that I decided I wanted to add to the purple. So I'm going to actually adhere that on top of that purple just to change it up a little bit, give it a little bit more depth. So here's the white ribbon that's going to be part of that design. 13 inches as well. And sped up. And this ribbon doesn't have any wiring to it, so that's another reason I wanted to make sure I adhere it to that purple. So I'm going to use just a tape runner to get that on top of the purple. But first I'm going to dovetail my blue. So I'll just take a couple of strips of ribbon at a time, fold it in half, dovetail the ends, just to kind of expedite. Instead of doing 16 cuts, I'll just be doing 8. So make sure it's even at the ends, and do a fold over, and you're gonna cut up toward the open edge so that you actually get that dovetail. And that's what it looks like. So I'll finish those up. All right, so on the purple, I am gonna take that tape runner. You can get that anywhere, really, anywhere that sells glue. So I'm gonna take this and run it down the center of the purple. And then I'm gonna lay the white on top. Because this white was kind of a velvet without a real satiny background or liner, I didn't want to use hot glue because you'd be able to see the glue. So I'll stick that down on there, and then I'm gonna cut these at an angle instead of cutting a dovetail out of it because of that center, that white ribbon. And that one I realized I didn't have as much of the white at the end as I needed to. So I had to go back and trim that a little bit more. And then I will speed up the process as I go through the remaining 15 cuts. All right, so now that I've got all of that ribbon cut the way that I need it, I am going to prepare to create my wreath base with the pancake method. So here's my wireframe wreath. Again, it's 18-inch. So I have 16 Chanel ties on here. And I will take my first 30-inch cut piece of mesh. And the whole goal in making a pancake wreath is keeping everything kind of as flat as you can. So you'll put your deco mesh down with the curling side under. So the side that wants to curl should be, on the bottom. So then you'll go into the center of your mesh, and you're basically going to walk your fingers all the way up to the very end on the other side. And in the end, you should have what resembles a bow tie. All right. Once you have that bow tie, you're going to get your your frame, open up the Chanel ties. I always start at the bottom. I'm going to open that up and sit that in the center. And I will twist that a few times to secure the mesh in. And then the next thing you'll do is you'll take the edges and you'll overlap them. Just like that. And I'll alternate. If you're using multiple colors, you would alternate the colors. So next you'll see I'll use the white, doing the same thing. This white is pretty easy to use for this process because it's got the lines already on here. So I'm going, down the center of that fifth line, so I can see that pretty easy. But I'm going to make my little bow tie with this. Once it's all curled together, I will attach this to the wreath frame as well, next to the blue that I just did. So there we go. And again, twist it a couple times and then overlap the edges. And you'll want to lay the top of the side that's touching the other pancake. You'll want to kind of lay that over so that they're touching pretty well. So they'll overlap there. And you will repeat that all the way around the bottom layer. Now some people will go ahead and if they have ribbon that they're going to add or any other type of like a floral or whatever, they might do it at that point, at the same time that they're tying in their mesh before they get to the top layer. It is easier to do it that way. I was distracted and doing something else and didn't think about it while I was going through this process. So I ended up doing my ribbon separate. But before I get to the ribbon, I just want to make sure that my wooden tray is going to fit in there like I want it to. And I'm going to go ahead and secure use the Chanel ties to attach to the frame. To the wooden tray, so that I can get that inside my design. I'm a handy dandy staple gun, heavy duty staple gun. I'm going to take 4 Chanel stems, attach 2 of them together, and I will staple down the Chanel stems at the top and the bottom of this wooden tray. And that's what I will use to secure it to the wreath frame. So you just twist these around one another at the end. And it's pretty sturdy once you get that done, so. Do the second 2. There's a lip on this tray, so I'm trying to get this at the top of the lip so that the staples will just go through the lip. On this first one, I didn't do it quite as well as I needed to, but it was okay because that's where I'm gonna have flowers. But you want to be careful of that if you either have a thinner piece of wood or if you have a wood with a lip on it like this. You want to make sure you get that in the right place so that you don't have issues with the staples coming through, because that is not fun. And you'll notice when I do the second set of chenille stems, it's a lot closer to the edge, which is what I should have done at the top, but again, I knew my florals were going to go up there, so I wasn't as attentive as I should have been on that. And I also realized with my camera angle, a lot of times I end up out of frame. I am so sorry about that, but I will be more cognizant of that next time. So here I'm going ahead and I'm putting in my ribbon. I'm layering them, centering them, pinching through the center. And so it's going to be an inverted V that I put into the chenille stems. And you can see even with these pancake wreaths, the deco mesh that is being used, if you would have done if I could have done those ribbon as I went, it would have gone a lot smoother than me having to kind of dig under to get the chenille stems to tie it in. So keep that in mind when you do yours, to either get the ribbon on as you go, if you're going to have ribbon in there, or do it before you get to the second layer. So if you go all the way around the bottom, before you go to the top, go ahead and put your ribbon in. Once I twist the chenille stem, you can either cut them or you can roll them around and around until it's like a flat little disc. And that's what I opted to do here on the bottom. And you'll just repeat that process all the way around the bottom. And I will speed this up since it's the same process all the way through. So just kind of tucking and making sure everything is laying down properly before I go to the next step or the next piece of deco mesh. And again, sorry for being off frame with this. My apologies. I think you get the gist of what I'm doing. I hope so anyway. So once I get all the ribbon in, I'm going to go ahead and put my, start my floral arrangement within my design. And I am going to have florals at the top of this, directly on the tray. So you can see I'm using both hot glue and staples to get that, those florals to stay centered. And then those Chanel stems that I have on the back, I'm going to use my crochet needle to get those pushed through the mesh. And I'm just going to wrap them around the frame. And a lot of that takes place off screen. I'm so sorry. But I am getting this tray attached to the design. So I've just secured the bottom, and then I will need to secure the top. I've got that in. And now I'm going to start putting florals around the tray. And so I'm going to start at the top. Those Chanel stems that I put in, I did not twist down into a disc. I left them open or standing up after I twisted the ribbon in so that I could also twist in these florals. And I'm going to use hot glue as well. So you'll see I twist that around the floral. I'm going to cut it as well. After I hot glue, I'm going to cut the excess off, the excess Chanel stem. And then I'll go all the way around doing that. Around the top, right around the frame, the wooden tray. And once I get all of those in, I'm gonna start putting some of the florals on the bottom layer, but only on the white. And I'm gonna glue it on. So that's how that'll happen. So I'll get that all done all around the sides on the white. So at the bottom, that's gonna be on 5 of those, I think. Can't remember the count exactly, but only on the white. So get that taken care of all the way around, and then we will be done. And here is the pancake versus the original. Hope you liked it. If you're not already following me, please like, comment, share, follow, subscribe, all the good things to all of my social media platforms. Thanks for watching, and until next time, SDC Wreaths for You, signing out.